Module 2, the topic, Java Servlets and the JSP. So this is the foundation technology of Java EE platform. Actually, the servlets part is the foundation, is the foundation of all Java EE technologies. All Java EE technologies are built on top of the servlets technology, including JSP. JSP is also built on top of servlets. Yeah. So we will get there. Title, Part A, Introduction to Java Servlets. Our topic 8.1, Getting Started with Java Servlets. I need to give you a lot of basic knowledge, properties, concepts about Java Servlets. Yeah. All right. First, create a Java web application. I did a short example of our first servlet at the end of the last lecture, but recall at that time, it is already the last 5 minutes of the class, right? Remember, already the last 5 minutes of the class. And I was in a rush mode, rushing myself, try to complete it. So that's not good because a lot of details I couldn't explain a lot of details. Yeah. Don't worry, today, after I complete some basic concepts, then I will do that example again. And at this time, I will give you more explanation. Yeah. So let's go through the create a Java web application step by step. This time again, yeah. So I try to add some more details here. Yeah. All right. First, let us assume the development environment is ready. Yeah. So what I mean, we installed Eclipse for Java EE version. And we installed the JDK, not a JRE, JDK, yeah. And we configure JDK inside Eclipse connected. Yeah, I talked about that before. Yeah. And we also we download Tomcat and we configure Tomcat inside Eclipse for Java EE. That's the setup, preparation for our Java web development environment. For this point, why I mentioned this point, because later we need to add another block, database part. This environment, we cannot do the database programming. Think about that. No database involved. We need to install database package. So another block of software bundle. Yeah, I will post tutorial. So probably next time I try to introduce that part. All right. Yeah. All right. Step number 2, create a simple web application project. Inside Eclipse, we need to create web application project, not a regular Java project. Now, do not just create a Java project. If you just create a Java project, it is not a Java web project. So that's different. All right? Yeah. Yeah. Remember the last time we select in that drop-down menu, we select dynamic web project. Dynamic web project. That's the type 1. So here, I put type 1. There is type 2. I didn't mention last time, but here, I like to talk about it. It's called Maven project. Now, dynamic web project, that is the number 3 in that drop-down list, this Maven project is the number 1 in that drop-down list. Maven project. That is another important, a very popular Java web project. Maven is the build tool. Yeah. I hope you have this concept. When you learn the Unix, you learn some build tool or makefile, right? Think about that. Makefile, C++ project. You use makefile to build project. Yeah. In Java, the role of the Maven is similar to that makefile, that tool, similar to that. But here we use Maven to build our web projects. Yeah. I will talk about, after after our first project, then I will introduce the Maven project for our second project. The first project, we use dynamic web project to do it, all right, programming project. The second one, then, because this Maven project is more important, so I will introduce this Maven project for our second programming project. So you can practice both ways. All right. Next step, create a Java package for the servlet. Now, when we organize all our Java source files, definitely we need to use appropriate packages. Now, all right. I noticed some students, when they work on some relatively simple Java projects, they do not use any Java packages. They just directly, use the top level, no package way. Although you can run, yeah. For example, when I do my algorithms class, many students, they do not use any Java packages. Because only 1 or 2 files, just run it, it works, then they feel okay. But in our regular Java development, web development, we expect to have relatively large number of Java source files. So we have to organize all our Java source files based on their types. Here, servlet types, many servlets in this package. Later, we will use many Java beans. So we need another package for Java beans. All right. Then when we do databases, we need a package for database files. Right? Yeah, database query files. We need large number of query files. And all right, yeah. So that's why at the beginning, although in this simple example, we only have 1 Java servlet, right? But I like to create a package for it. All right, yeah. So here the example as the convention for the community, Java community. Yeah, we are in UMSL organization, so we use this edu.umsl.java.servlets. All right, yeah, usual way. You can use different ways, yeah, if you like, yeah. All right. Next step, create a servlet class, yeah, skeleton class. Now, so we use the Eclipse built-in tool to create servlet skeleton class. Then we just fill in the working code. Yeah. The setup code is there, all right? Yeah. We just fill in the lines to produce business processing, business-related processing. Yeah. All right. Next step, configure the servlet. There are 2 ways. The first way, explicit. Second way, implicit. Implicit, the hidden way, You cannot see it, but it's there, explicit. There you can see the configuration block. Yeah, block of code. You need to do the configuration. Yeah. Next slide, I will talk about explicit configuration. But in our first example, I didn't do the configuration part. Actually, I did a little bit. Yeah. But I used the implicit way first. Yeah. Later, when I show you that example again, I will talk about more regarding the configuration. Yeah. For the configuration, what do we need to do? Typically, these two things, we need to tell the Java web server about the servlet. First, you need to give it a servlet name. Servlet name, all right. But for the servlet name, there is a default way to give the servlet name. So that means if we do nothing, we just take the default way. Yeah, in our first example, we use the default way. Yeah. Second, two more students join us in the middle. Yeah, I hope I remember, so I do not forget to check the, roll call list. Yeah. All right, URL mapping. This piece of information is very important. Although there is a default one in our, Eclipse, that part. But if some of you still, if you can remember the details, I changed that in that, last 5 minutes, I changed that. It's default URL pattern, capital hello servlet, right? Capital H, capital S, just the same as the class name, but I changed it to lowercase hello. All right, yeah. We can change. Yeah. All right. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So that's the configuration part. After that, then the Java web server knows how to call the servlet. All right. Yeah. All right. Next, compile the servlet. Compilation. Yeah. But in Eclipse, this step automatic in Eclipse. Automatic. We cannot see. We may not be aware of it, right? Yeah. We may not be aware of it. Yeah. So this step, automatic in IDE. All right. Yeah. Here it's not necessary in Eclipse. In any modern IDE. Yeah. Let me say that. In any modern IDE, it's automatic. Okay, yeah, so we don't worry. But think about, in nowadays, many Java programmers, because they always use Java IDE to develop Java projects, they may not know how to compile Java programs by Java command. They may not know that, yeah, because you never need to do that, right? Think about how to type Java command to compile Java programs. 99%. Yeah, I like to say 99% of you may not know that, how to compile Java files. At some point, for your interest, I may show you the code, just one line, Java C, okay? Java C compiler name, okay? Java C, type your Java class name. But sometimes you need to include library files. Yeah. All right, yeah. Compile the servlet, yeah. Now, the reason I emphasize this point is because later we will talk about Java class file. I hope you do not ask, how can we get the Java class file? We never do compilation. How can we get the Java class file? Right? Yeah, here we have it. We just use the Java class files. Yeah. We assume we already have them. Yeah. All right. Then the last step, run the web application. All right, yeah. How to run it? Yeah, here I list all the steps at this part. First, right-click the project node. Yeah. Now the file node. Yeah, I saw before some students right-click specific file. Yeah. Although sometimes it works, but it's not a good way. All right. Good way, always right-click the project node. We want to run the whole project, not run one particular file. All right. One particular file, it is not a safe way. It is not a safe way. It could be a better way. Better way. Yeah. Why better way? Yeah, here, let me just explain in a few sentences. Yeah. Because we know many files, they have some close relationship. All right. That means one file maybe rely on another file, right? There is some dependence relationship among files. But when you right-click run one, you bypass the dependencies, right? You bypass the dependencies, that could cause a lot of data preparation problems. Because the dependency object, they need to provide the data for the current file, right? But you bypass it, you won't have the data to run correctly for current file. So for that reason, always run the project, not individual files. All right. Next step. Oh, yeah. Next step. Yeah. Run as drop-down menu, right? Yeah. Right-click, you have a drop-down menu. Then there is a run as item, you select. Then another drop-down menu, sub-menu, all right? Run on server item, you select, all right? After that, there is a pop-up window. In a pop-up window, you need to select your server node specifically, all right? You have to select it, click it, yeah. Yeah, I tried it once before because at that time, I want to try if that server node is the default, then I do not need to select it. Yeah. Yeah. But if I do not select it, it doesn't work. So yeah, actually I got a server error. So there is no server selected. I got that error. Yeah. So we need to select, all right, server node. Then the last step, next and or finish. Yeah, here, yes, you can see actually there are two buttons. Next, if you do not need to do anything, you can bypass this next button, just click finish. Yeah, but sometimes, yeah, based on my experience, sometimes we need to select the next button to do something in the next window. Yeah. Let me explain this issue. Yeah, here there is some question. Let me explain this last step when I run that example. Yeah, at that time, I can say, more things when I show you the window content. Here, we don't have that window content. Or if I say anything very abstract, you cannot see it. All right, yeah. Yeah, so that's the whole procedure for this title, create a Java web application. All right, yeah. Next, I want to talk about welcome file of a Java web application. Yeah. Welcome file, yeah. Because this step is very important. Yeah. So we need to give you the basic information here. Yeah. Welcome file. Role of a welcome file. I mentioned a little bit before. Yeah. Here, let me go through all the main information pieces here for a web application. The first file to be visited by default Yeah. Default way, the users do not need to type specific file names. Yeah. And we can bring it up in the web browser. Yeah. All right. For a folder, yes. So here, there is a situation. Yeah. Look at for a typical web application, we have a root, right? Yeah. So this is a root node. This is a root node. Right. Under the root node, we have 5 structures, right? Yeah. We can have some folders or some files. Yeah. How do I represent files? Yeah. Suppose this is files. Okay. Yeah. File. All right. This is a folder, so I can have more levels of folders and files. All right. So here the question is, for a subfolder somewhere in your tree, that's a tree. All right. In your tree, you may need to visit some resource inside one of the subfolders. When you go there, there is also welcome file issue, right? What is the default file to bring up in that particular subfolder? That you may need to have a welcome file in some of the subfolders. Some of the subfolders. Let's say in this way. Not just the root folder. Root folder, you need one, all right? Yeah. But some of the subfolders, there is a chance you may need to put some welcome files. Yeah. So here, we need to cover those cases. Yeah. All right. Properties of the welcome files. Yeah. First one, multiple welcome files are allowed for a web application. Multiple, yeah, we have many subfolders, right? Yeah. Some of them, yeah, it's not necessary we put each subfolder a welcome file, not necessary. Some of the folders, because we do not plan to expose to outside users, we hide. We want to hide those folders, right? Yeah. So we do not expose them. So we do not need to provide welcome files. Yeah. So that's why I say for some of the subfolders, we may need to put welcome files. So for that reason, this property, multiple welcome files are allowed for a web application. All right. Next, welcome files are configured in this web.xml file. That file, we call a configuration file, our main configuration file. Yeah, yeah. And the last time I talked about that, yeah. It's required for a Java web application. But remember, in our first Java web project, we do not use it. We skip it. In Eclipse, there is a checkbox. When we create a dynamic web project, we uncheck the checkbox because we do not plan to use it. It does not mean this file is not used, web.xml. It does not mean this file is not used. It means Eclipse will generate default web.xml for us automatically. We cannot see, it's a hidden one, all right? But Eclipse will generate it and provide it to the Tomcat. Tomcat needs it, all right? When Tomcat runs on your web project, Tomcat needs this file because it's default. So Eclipse just use the same one all the time, same default file all the time. So you do not need to manually create one. Yeah. So that's this welcome web.xml. Next one, probably the default welcome file is called index.jsp. Default file name, index.jsp. Here you see JSP. Why JSP? Yeah, later. Yeah, later when I talk about servlet, you will see there is some important reason. Here we use a JSP, not a servlet. Yeah, here some of you may ask why we do not use a servlet as the welcome file. Why we do not use a servlet as a welcome file? We use JSP as a welcome file, right? Yeah, I will answer this question quickly. I will answer this question quickly. When I talk about another concept, then I explain, yeah, some important reason behind it. All right. Here, that's the reason. This property explains that reason. Difference between a physical file and a logical name for a welcome file. Yeah. Here, these two concepts, physical file. Yeah, I think you understand the physical file, right? Physical file. You can see that file, that particular, that file object. It stays somewhere in that tree. Yeah. So here, in our web application tree, somewhere. All right. Physical file. You can see it. All right. Logical name, yeah, you have a name for it. Yeah. That name, yeah, usually, yeah, here, let me talk about logical name. Logical name usually corresponds to a path. Path, I think you know the path, right? Yeah. Starting from root slash, subfolder slash, subfolder, then file name. Yeah, path, all right? Path. Can you imagine any path corresponds to some location inside the tree, right? Any path corresponds to some location inside the tree. But that is for physical case. For physical case, any path corresponds to the location inside the tree. But for logic case, not necessary. Logic. Remember, yeah, let me use the logic name. You may not have a node inside a tree corresponds to that logical name. In our first servlet example, think about this. In our first servlet, yeah, let me close to my microphone for the recording better. If I go there, recording may not be good. In our first servlet example, remember what is the URL of our servlet? I changed intentionally from hello servlet to lowercase hello. Yeah. I use this URL pattern /hello. This is my URL pattern for the servlet. We call URL pattern for that servlet. But this name is logical name. Can you find a node inside the tree? There is nothing inside the tree. It's called a lowercase hello. Nothing. You cannot find it. So it's not a physical file. Okay, it's a logical name. All right. Yeah. So here you know the difference between physical file and logical name. Now I tell you the key property. Yeah. Probably I didn't write it out. Yeah, let me see. Yeah, this item. Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah. So here, the physical file of a servlet cannot be accessed by a user directly. Why? The physical file of a servlet, what's the physical file? .class file, right? .class file, Java.class file. Remember, after compilation, the physical file means .class file, not the source file. Source file may not be available in our final Java web application. Source file, it's not necessary. Okay? The final project may not include the source files. Okay? Yeah. May or may not. Yeah. Yeah. But Java class file must be there. Yeah. So the physical file of the servlet file, we refer to its corresponding compiled .class file. Yeah. All right, but this physical file cannot be exposed to the outside users. We want to hide it, right? We intentionally hide the physical location of the servlet files. We don't want outside people. We want to protect it. We don't want to expose those files. So for that reason, remember the last time, there is a special folder that can help us protect resources inside Java web application. That's the web-inf folder. Remember, web-inf. That folder, we use that. Yeah. We put all the resources to be protected inside this folder so outside people cannot access. Our servlets compiled class files are also placed there, but inside that classes folder, remember, /classes folder, inside this web-inf folder. Yeah. All right, that's the physical for the server. But what do we provide outside people the way to access servlets URL pattern? URL pattern. Yeah. That's the logical name. Yeah. Logical, yeah. So here you see the difference. Yeah. Then as another property, yeah, probably I didn't put it here, yeah, but that property is important. Yeah, next slide. So that's why. Oh, another student. Yeah, I mean same student. Yeah. 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 Actually I like to add one more item here. I would like to add one more item here because yeah. Do I have it? Yeah, I don't have it. Yeah. I didn't put it here. But this property is so important. So let me write it down. Yeah, because at this point, if I go back to do editing, you may not see it. So let me write that property down here in the space below. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Only. Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah. Only a physical file can be used as a welcome file. This rule is important. Yeah. You cannot use a logical name as a welcome file. It's not there because the server, the Tomcat, needs to locate in a physical location to bring up this file. If you put the logical name like /hello, then Tomcat needs to go to the, under the root folder, try to find the file name called hello, but it cannot find. Then you get an error. Then you will get error. All right? Yeah. So this probably is very important. Yeah. Physical file must be physical. Now we can go back to explain why we use index.jsp, not a Java servlet as a welcome file. Because the physical file of a servlet is not exposed to outside people. We don't want to expose the physical file of a servlet. We can only use logical name to access a Java servlet, but logical name cannot be used as a welcome file. That's the reason. For that reason, so we have to use JSP file. It's a physical file, right? Index.jsp, it is a physical file. And we can expose it to the outside users. Yeah, that's the explanation. Yeah. All right. Next one, deployment descriptor. That web.xml, there is a formal name for it. It is called deployment descriptor. Right? Yeah. I didn't mention this before, but here, The reason I mention this because later when you read the technical documents related to Java web application, many authors, technical authors, they like to refer this file to this note symbol, DD, all right? You may see a lot of DD. People talk about DD. That's deployment descriptor. That's this file, web.xml. Okay? So, all right. Then the role of deployment descriptor specify how the web application should be deployed. And usually we configure a list of welcome files in certain order. There is an order issue. Welcome file, multiple, when you use XML way to configure. So we use the XML way. I hope you have a little XML knowledge. So you know, we use tags, right? In XML, we use tags to mark different pieces of information. We will see that way. All right, sorry. Then, because you have a list, then the rule is like this. Which one in the list is used? The rule is like this. The first file in the list is called. The first file available in the list, but in the list and also available. It must be available. Why available? You have 3 files. The first file does not exist in that folder, right? So you need to look at the second one. If the second one still, it does not exist, you need to look at third one. So the third one, that's all we say. The first one available, I should say in this way, from the grammar, the first file available in the list. How about that? We skip those not available, right? We skip those not available in the folder, current folder. But we get the first one available in the current folder. That file will be used as the welcome file. All right. Okay. Then configure listeners, servlets, filters, and more. So here you see, other than servlets, we have listeners, filters. Later, when I have chance, I may talk about those listeners, filters. They all, those things, they are all built on top of servlets. So servlets come on foundation. Then all others rely on servlet technology. All right. Load other non-default configuration file. Here, remember web.xml default. Default configuration file, web.xml. That means we do not need to tell Java web server where to find web.xml. We don't need to tell. It's a default. It is in Java EE specification. It is written inside Java EE specification. So we do not need to do anything regarding this web.xml, but for non-default configuration files, because default configuration, you can only have one, right? One file to be default. All the other configuration file, you may need to configure a lot of things. Think about that. lot of things. If you need to use non-default configuration files, how do you tell Java web servers where to find those non-default configuration files? Here, inside this web.xml. Load other non-default. So inside web.xml. Yeah. So yeah, you need to use another XML element. Yeah. Put load these, usually a list of .xml files. Configuration files usually in the XML format. XML format. Yeah. Here, for example, yeah, Spring Framework, for example. Yeah, if some people heard of Spring Framework. Spring Framework. Then Spring needs to use its own configuration files. Right? That's non-default. Spring non-default. Yeah. So then we need to specify Spring configuration files in our web.xml file. Non-default. Okay. All right. Next, map multiple URLs to the same servlet. Yeah. It is allowed. So here, this item means we can do this, map multiple URLs to the same servlet. Yeah. But you may ask this question, why we need to do this, right? Usually, based on our intuition, it should be one servlet corresponds to one URL pattern, right? One-to-one correspondence based on our intuition, logic. All right, but actually it's not the case. Yeah. So one servlet you can map to multiple URL1, URL2, and so on. All right, yeah, and so on. Okay, yeah. Why is that? Why is that? Yeah, the reason, just let me explain a little bit. The reason, pretty simple. Each URL pattern usually corresponds to one business purpose. One business purpose, all right? Yeah. But your servlet could provide tasks for multiple business purposes. Think about that. Multiple business purposes. Then you can use one servlet to do the services for for multiple business tasks. Think about that case. Yeah. All right. Next one. Create multiple instances of a servlet. Yeah, this part a little confusing. Create multiple instances of a servlet. You know the instance of Java class, right? Usually we use a Java class to create objects, Java objects. We also call Java instances, right? Instances the same as objects, okay? Instances. Now, servlet is a regular Java class or special Java class. Yeah. It's a Java class. So we can use a servlet class to create multiple servlet instances. Okay, yeah. But the question here is, usually for one Java web application, we only need to use one instance of servlet. We do not need multiple usually, all right? If you can use multiple, but you need to provide some good reasons behind it. Why I need to use multiple server instances, yeah. If you have no good reason, you only use one instance of a servlet, yeah. All right, but here there is a situation inside a Java web application. We need to make our servlet to provide services to multiple users concurrently. Think about that. All right, think about this. Yeah. All right, so one servlet needs to provide services to multiple users concurrently. Okay, yeah, one servlet instance, right? One servlet instance needs to provide services to multiple users concurrently. How can you make that happen, right? How can you make that happen? Yeah. Then multi-threading, yeah. One instance can generate multiple threads to serve the client. This technology we call multi-threading, right? You heard of that, multi-threading. Yeah, multi-threading, all right, yeah. Okay, yeah, multi-threading, all right, yeah. Here, I mentioned this. Later at some time, I will explain a little more related to instances and multi-threading, yeah, because I need to spend quite some time to make these two concepts better. Instance and a thread, instance versus threads. These two concepts, instances versus threads, these two concepts. Yeah, I need more time to explain later. Yeah, all right. Here, let's just get to this point. Yeah. Then when I need to go to 8.2, but what I see, we only have 10-something minutes before the class. I like to do that demo thing, right? I still do that hello world servlet version, but this time I need to explain some details. I work slowly. I use about 15 minutes to work on it. And each step I can explain several things related to what I covered today. Those basic properties, points, what I talked about already today. Yeah. All right, so let me work on that slowly, and at several places I connect to those items we learned today. Yeah. So we can get better understanding. First, we create a web project, file, new. Now look at this drop-down menu, this list. First one, Maven project. See, the first one, Maven project. The third one, dynamic web project. All right. Project name, so let me just call hello world number 2 in my place. Okay, yeah, number 2. Yeah. Then everything else looks fine, but let me click next button. Yeah, because I need to show you, we take the default setting, but here, look at this little checkbox, generate web.xml. deployment descriptor, yeah, by default, it is unchecked. By default, uncheck it. If we really need to use it, we need to check it. Yeah. If we have no reason to use it, anything to configure specifically, we do not check it. Yeah. That means in pretty, general case, many developers, they do not need to use this one, right? Yeah. All right, so we finish. All right, yeah. So we do not have it. Yeah. Let's look at the structure. Hello world. Look at the SRC folder, source folder, main, Java web app. 2 subfolders. Java folder, we need to use it to store Java source files, all the Java source files in this Java folder. Then, other than the Java source files, all other remaining files are in this web app folder, okay, subfolder or node. Here, probably we call it a node, yeah, because in our final web application, this folder won't be there. This folder, the web app folder, won't be in our final product web application. All right, so that's why it is just a node in our development project, not in the final product. Okay, after we complete development, we need to deliver it to the production server. It won't be there. All right, that web app won't be there. Yeah. All right. Now, let me close my old files. Yeah, so I have some old files I used before, but here, let me start from scratch. Nothing there. We just create a blank project. Nothing inside. Yeah. All right, so now, what do we need to do the first thing here? What do we need to do the first thing? Here, let me tell you the goal. The objective of this example here, I want to run hello world using Java Servlet, not JSP, Servlet. Now, we want to learn Servlet technology here. So I want to use Servlet. All right, yeah. So we need to create a Servlet class, Java class Servlet. But remember, the Servlet class cannot be used as a welcome file, right? Think about that. Connect to that item. The Servlet physical file cannot be used as the welcome file. And the URL pattern of the servlet, it's a logical name. It can not be used as welcome file also. That means we have to create a JSP to be the welcome file. Okay? Although we just need to use serve, but you need to create that default JSP welcome file so that you have a chance to call that servlet. How about that? So that you have a chance to call that servlet. All right, yeah. So let us create a JSP default welcome file first. Yeah. Add this web app node. Yeah, location is important. Web app node. Yeah. Right click it. New JSP. Yeah. And we type index. Index. Yeah. Extension will be added to it automatically. But if you type index.jsp, you get the same thing. Okay, you get the same thing. Yeah, index. Yeah, if you type JSP, yeah, you get the same thing. Yeah, but here, yeah, I just type index finish. Yeah. All right. Then I have this blank, almost blank, welcome JSP file. And in this file, I will call the servlet through that URL. Yeah. We have a logical name of that servlet. Logical name, it's a URL pattern, right? Yeah. So we can use that URL pattern to call through a link, a element, anchor, a element as a link. So we call servlet, click that link, we call. Yeah. All right. But at this point, we do not have the URL pattern, right? Yeah. So let me put this file aside. Let's work on the Java servlet. After we complete that servlet, we have the URL pattern we can put here. Okay. All right. Yeah. But when we create a Java servlet, we need to create a package, right? Yeah. How do we create a package? Yeah. Look at the Java resource node. In the Java resource node, there is a src/main/java node. Yeah. This is our source root node of our Java source files. So we right-click that node, new package. We type edu.umsl.java, suppose, .servlets. Yeah. You have some freedom, yeah, but here just a package name, yeah. All right, finish. All right. Then we have that blank package node there. Now let us create a new servlet Java class there. New servlet. All right. Class name we call hello servlet. Okay. All right. Then in this window, look at the name, default name, servlet name. Hello servlet default name. Yeah. We do not need to change. Yeah. No reason to change. Let's just leave there. All right. URL pattern default, but I like to change. Yeah. Yeah. So usually we like to use lowercase for the URL pattern. Yeah. Okay. So I type lowercase hello. Okay, sorry. Hello. All right, yeah. Okay. Yeah. This is the new URL pattern. All right, yeah. Now we can finish, yeah, because we do not have other things to do. Yeah. That's all we need. Yeah. Then this skeleton class, servlet class is created. Hello servlet. All right. Then do get method. Yeah. So we can output some text message. Yeah. Hello world. Yeah, put it here. All right. Yeah. That's our servlet. We save it. All right. Okay. Yeah. The servlet is done. I will explain the structure later. You may have many questions, right? At this point. Yeah. I need to explain. Yeah. A lot of things behind it. Yeah. But here you can see at web server annotation, double quotes / hello. This is the URL pattern we need to use. All right. We have, because here we have the URL pattern, we can go back and use that URL pattern. Yeah. All right, so call servlet. Suppose I want to use a hyperlink to call the servlet. A element. All right, A element. All right. href URL href double quotes. All right, but here, think about we use hello or slash hello. Yeah, here. Be careful, slash hello or just the hello. No, that slash. That's important, right? Yeah. Look at our previous example. I remember no slash, but you need to know why no slash. Okay, previous example. Oh, yeah, this one. Oh, dynamic JSP, sorry. Yeah, that one. Let's look at the dynamic JSP. No slash, right? Yeah, no slash. Because we will go to different places. If we put a slash, we will go to different places. All right, yeah. Okay, yeah. All right. Now, let's start. Now that one, this one, hello world number 2. To start a project, right-click the project node, run as, run on server, and select our server node. Do not skip that step, but for the next, usually we can click finish, but if we click next, we have this window. We have a chance to remove other project, only leave our current project here. Yeah. The reason we sometimes we need to do this step because we can, yeah. If we remove other projects, we can eliminate interference problem. There is a potential interference problem. Yeah. Call servlet link, right? Hyperlink. Click it, served at hello world. Yeah, that thing. See, yeah, it works. Yeah. So that's the example. Last 5 minutes, last time, but this time you can see better. This time you should understand more. Yeah. Because we learn more, so we can understand better. All right, so that's it. So let's stop here. And after this, I do the video processing. So after I complete it, I post. Yes. All right.